Over a month ago, I was sent one of the most anticipated Airsoft releases of 2017 from LCT themselves, and that would be one of their LC3 models. All around, the LC3 or G3 series from LCT is a very exciting release, as we haven't seen much of an advancement of the old G3 rifle in quite some time when it comes to Airsoft. Or at least that was true until LCT answered the prayers of the enthusiasts. In this video, I'll be going over all the things you'll need to know about the LC3 from the unboxing, build construction, features, performance, and the flaws that I found over the course of me owning my rifle, which there aren't many to be found anyway, before I go and take it out to go shoot for myself. I'd also like to refer to you guys to BB2K Airsoft for a very in-depth review that spans over 40 minutes, which should suit you guys if you don't mind subtitles or if you simply speak German Deutsch. And I'll also be adding a link down below for real fake guns, simply because I enjoyed his video as well. Alright, so let's get into the packaging, which begins with this very long cardboard box. It has some graphics here and there to remind you guys what rifle you ordered, but inside is where the magic begins. First, we have the paperwork on top that consists of a really neat catalog over all the LCT releases you can find from the AKs, M4s, and even support weapons like the RPD and M60, which I love very much. And of course, you get the manual. This manual will show you how to take down the LC3 with an explicit view of all the parts included, but that's pretty much it, so I guess I'll have to just show you all the rest in this video. The paperwork packaging also includes this very long hook to help you pull back the charging handle spring whenever you need to reassemble the rifle, and I'm impressed to see a manufacturer include this in the package. Next, under the styrofoam sheet should be the rifle, the included magazine that should be a mid-cap, the black steel flash hider, and this tag that should be wrapped around the trigger guard in most cases. For this sponsored review, I asked for a high-cap magazine, but you should receive a mid-cap with this rifle regularly. But the magazine is very sturdy and made from steel, just like the majority of the LC3. I never had any feeding issues with the 500 round high-cap magazine, but the door on top where you'd fill the mag with BBs was very stiff at first. So stiff that I actually bent my fingernail trying to pry it up, but now after a few uses, the door opens much easier than before. Altogether, it's a great magazine, and it could probably double up as a hammer if you needed one. Now, where the magazine could be used as a hammer in some cases, let me refer you to the wrecking ball that is the LCT LC3 G3. As for the build construction, this rifle hands down takes the cake for the best constructed G3 on the market without a doubt. Heck, it's probably the most durable rifle in my whole collection thanks to the full steel body. From the outer barrel, the receivers, the controls, trigger, pins, sling loops, sights, and everything else that's not the stock orange flash hider, grips, and charging handle cap, it's all steel. You could use this thing as a Russian chair or as your entry to a demolition derby if you wanted to. Honestly, you could probably get away with putting a pair of Jimmy John's trunks on the stock and a sticker of a longsword down the receiver, and people would probably mistake it for Brock Lesnar himself. I am happy that LCT added that steel flash hider in the box, by the way, because as soon as I can, this damned orange M4 flash hider is going to be banished to the shadow realm. Yes, the steel barrel comes with 14mm counterclockwise threads underneath for whatever suppressor or muzzle device you'd like to add, but what you might not expect is for the outer barrel bayonet mount to actually work. Well, yeah, as long as you have a G3 bayonet, you can add it onto this rifle, before the ref at your local field tells you to take it back off. You'll come to understand that LCT didn't leave out much when it comes to detail for this release. Even the weight is on point at about 10 pounds. Now there's a lot of different models you could choose from, but you'll find that all of them have these steel sling points up front and on the stock. Yes, these are reliable even with this hefty rifle. You don't have to worry. The sights should also stay the same with the fixed post up front and the rotary drum over the receiver. I'll say that the drum sight does click firmly as you adjust it, but there's a bit of play in between the selections. To be fair though, we're airsofters, not active duty soldiers in the middle of a battlefield or pro shooters trying to land a mile shot on a plate with irons, but this still bothers me. I do like the textures on the sights though, and the weld marks on this rifle just add character. You can actually find a lot of these weld marks throughout the receiver, so go ahead and hunt them all. LCT didn't skip out on the claw mount indents on the upper either, so why not make your rifle even more sexy with the period correct sight like the rifles on the manual? To round off the front section of the LC3, pay attention to the slimline handguard. It doesn't creak, it doesn't bend, it just doesn't move. And to top it off, you could just replace it with whatever real G3 handguard you want to. Heading to the back, we'll go over the full stock of this G3. I like it because it's big, sturdy, and it's easy to access. All the things I like about a full stock. It's held onto the receiver by these 2 cotter pins, but you'll still need a mallet to get it off. However, if you take them out, you can just put them in the slots on the stock. These pins do loosen up a bit as you remove them and insert them, so expect a bit of sound coming from them if you really shake the rifle, but if you don't mess with them, then you'll be good. You don't even really need to touch those, because getting a battery into the stock is just as easy as pulling the butt pad off and connecting the wires. It's that easy, and I love it. LCT just added a couple flat springs that hold onto the body pin slots, which was pretty clever. The body pin slots do take up some room though, so even though you have a big cavity for batteries in here, you won't be shoving a brick the size of a magazine inside, but a skinny 11.1 LiPo works fine anyway. Onto the stamped steel low receiver, the huge chunk of metal that it is. If I haven't made it apparent yet, this thing could be used to destroy all of my other guns. Call it a brick, but if more airsoft manufacturers followed the LCT way, then we would probably be much better off. The lower receiver consists of a very stiff and very well done selector switch. And if you know what a gated shifter is, then you'd know how good this selector feels. It's heavy but smooth when you use some strength. It bears proper engraved markings for the safe, semi, and full auto selections, and these and the serial number inside the mag well are the only markings on here, so you better love them. But as for performance, they feel just like the real G3s. So far, so good. As for a couple of flaws I found, I noticed this gap in between the receivers that might not bother many, but I still felt like it was noteworthy. And then I saw that my steel trigger was slightly uncentered towards the left of the rifle. Now this is really nitpicking, so you could take these flaws as you would. The trigger and trigger guard still hold up just as well as the rest of the rifle anyway. Lastly is the mag well and releases. If you have baby hands like me, then you'll almost never use the M16 style release on the right side, but just like the paddle release underneath, it works fine. You'll need to rock the magazine back just right for it to sit properly though, and it's easy to mess this up. You have to be a bit rough with it, but magazine changes should get easier once you figure out how your rifle likes to be handled. And then there's the mock bolt and charging handle. M14 users, you have been warned. This is your opponent for the best sounding charging operation. When the whole rifle is steel, including the bolt and charging arm, you get a lot of mass going forward when you let go of the charging handle. The charging spring inside will even vibrate the whole gun in your hands if you let the handle go, and people just tend to look at you. The whole point of pulling back the charging handle to adjust your really stiff rotary hop-up is almost invalid because of all this. But seriously, my rotary hop-up was so tight that I needed a tool to adjust it. But dear lord, does this thing really reach out when you dial it in properly. Screw 28 grams, you'll need 30s and up for this thing, and even with 150 feet, that still isn't enough to show off this thing's potential. If you really need a new DMR project gun, then here it is without a doubt. Throw away that multi-$1,000 M4 you call a DMR, even though it's not, and just look up the LCT G3. When even bolt action snipers I play with try this gun, they don't want to go back to their own rifles. I love this thing. It's really hard to hate on this gun. I now understand why so many people said that I needed to review one of these. From the HK slap to the thick but yet comfortable pistol grip, this thing just does what it's supposed to do while at the same time killing your arms while holding it up. But still, that's what you wanted if you bought one of these in the first place. You wanted the realism and you wanted a monster truck embodied in an airsoft gun. If you throw an 11.1 LiPo battery inside, you'll be seeing low 400 feet per second readings, adding a bit more blatant proof that this is not a CQB choice right from the box. But if you ever really need full auto, then I'll show you now that you'll be pumping rounds out about 15 to 17 rounds a second with that same LiPo battery. And that's it really. That's the LCT LC3 G3. There's many like it in the LCT catalog, so if the OD furniture model isn't right for you, then how about an SG1? Or any of these other models? Or maybe the PSG1 if it's ever actually made. Come on LCT, just do it already. They all come out to about $400, but if you really don't like this rifle, or if you really do, then let me know in the comments down below. I really want to know what you guys have to say about the LCT LC3, and I love reading what you guys have to say. I'd like to thank LCT for sending me this awesome piece to take a look at, but I'd like to shout out all these past commenters and the notification squad for all their support, as well as the first 300 people who like my videos regularly. It all helps me to do more awesome stuff, and I hope one day I'll be able to show you guys just how much you helped me out. But until that next video drops from the city of San Antonio, this has been Scott Hollenbeck. I hope you enjoyed my review, and I'll be sure to see you all next time.
So can I like trade you my soul for that? Is that chill? Like, can we do that? Are you down? Because I'm down.
I'm good with mine.
Okay, so what's your name?
My name is Weston Chopper.
Okay, so Weston, you've got VFC G28 down there, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, what's kind of cool, hey little man, is that's H&K, right?
Yes.
That weighs pretty good. It feels right.
Yep.
What do you think about this?
Oh, whoa.
That's LCT G3. Another classic H&K.
Feels nice.
What do you think about it?
It's nice. And it has a good weight to it. It's a lot more balance than my gun. I think mine's very front heavy.
Jesus. When you get the chance, John needs some help with his Scorpion.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is cool. I've always wanted to do that.
No, it hasn't started. I'm trying to get some.
Cool. I'm going to take that into a field now.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Not the best trigger. It's long like how any other G3 trigger usually is. Semi is the way to go. Ah, locked it up. It happens even to the best of them. Good thing the wind is ruining my shots. The wind is so brutal right now that even with 32s, I'm going way off to the left. Fingers.